Hi, it's Dwyer. It is May 11th, 2025. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. BettingAngle.us, a free site. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let me pivot here. Yesterday was a tough day for many. Right, I'm out here in the Bay Area in the NBA. The Warriors lost by 5. Right, the Warriors are without Steph Curry. There's a group of gamblers out there who know the line was 5.5 points. Believe it or not, if you bet the spread and took the T-Wolves, you lost yesterday's game. Right, so just understand, just keeping it real about the world of gambling, that's how it is. You can be on the side of the play that wins the game, but that loses the bet. Right, now let's talk about a tough fight for me personally. Charly Suarez, a 4-1 underdog, 3.5 to 1, 4 to 1, depending on what you got. Right, we'll be conservative here. We'll call him a 3.5 to 1 underdog against Emanuel Navarrette. I told premium subscribers that that fight was mispriced. Right, the bet I suggested was the under, right, which hit because of the way the fight ended. So it wasn't a total loss. But the meat and potatoes of the bet was Charly Suarez simply to win. Right, now that was the bet. Right, Suarez to win, you're covered because, believe it or not, the under in this fight was going off at even money. Now, kudos to Top Rank. I'm going to praise a promoter when they deserve praise. They, after the fight, released a bunch of videos. The key angle, and understand this is a sport where we're still debating whether Daniel Dubois' shot on Usyk was a low blow. But there's a definitive angle, in my opinion. Right? As definitive as it can get. Understand there's still that outlier of chance that a headbutt contributed to Emanuel Navarrette's injury. But understand, Suarez gets off an excellent left hook. It's an excellent left hook. The fighters are leant over each other. He hits Navarrete on exactly the spot. Exactly the spot where Navarrete has a gaping cut after the interaction. Right? It's exactly where Navarrete gets cut. But then as he follows through, Navarrete's head passes by him. Now the question is, was the cut caused by the punch? In which case, if Navarrete can't continue, Suarez wins the fight, and people like you and me collect on a 3.5 to 1. In fact, we win on both halves of the bet. Or was the cut caused by a clash of heads? In which case, the fight goes to the scorecard. Now, I would argue, and I'm bitter, right? The highlights, by the way, are in my favorites folder here on YouTube. I would argue that even if the fight went to the scorecards, Charly Suarez should have won a decision. Right? You know, technical decision. Even if it went to the scorecards. I thought Suarez is countering Navarrete to death. You know what I like to say here. How do you beat an ambush fighter? You follow him after the ambush. I thought Navarrete never figured out what to do with Charly Suarez's left hand. I thought Navarrete, who is the harder puncher, who did have, moments where he landed some big shots. I'm not saying the fight's completely one-sided, but understand there's a flow on the fight. After Navarrete jumps forward and tries to land some big shots, Navarrete doesn't know what to do. He's out of ideas because his game's unorthodox, right? He's not defensively blessed. This isn't the guy coming in and he has, part of his body protected by body armor, and he's planning to land his own left hook, and then he's going to roll and have you throw punches into his defensive guard. That's not Navarrete. Navarrete is the aggressive puncher who's hoping to catch you unprepared on his initial shots, and then who's trying to back away while you're hurt if he hasn't hurt you bad enough to finish you. Well, understand what was happening. Suarez, much better form. So Suarez would survive Navarrete's initial onslaught. Then as Navarrete was backing away, Suarez would follow him. So Suarez was landing shots, and Suarez is thinking about angles. Right? So he's landing shots on Navarrete, who didn't know how to stop the shots. Right? Navarrete is an effort guy. He's not a technician. Suarez might be 36. He's a technician. He's putting himself in position where he can block shots and counter you. So I thought Suarez should have won the fight if it went to the scorecards. I thought Suarez should have won the fight because he deserved to win the fight. It was a punch. It cut Navarrete. Navarrete could not continue. Right? Navarrete's corner does a great job stopping the bleeding, but of course, seconds into the round, the minute Suarez was able to land again on that eye, the bleeding would continue. Right? So, let me just say, this is the world of betting we're in. Big underdog lands a big shot. The other guy can't continue, right? At a certain point, the ref figured out that the blood was just too much. These fighters are human beings. There's too much risk involved. It's not that the cut was in that bad a place, but it was just the amount of blood pouring out of it was grotesque, right? So just understand, you pick the underdog lands the big punch you dream of, the other guy can't continue, then of course they tell you that it was a clash of heads and it's going to go to the scorecard. Then when they go to the scorecard, the judges have the fight tilted toward the fighter they know, right? I'm not saying there's any corruption involved. It's just that Navarrete, of course, was the big favorite heading into the fight. Suarez was the long shot play. You can tell that the judges in close rounds, and many of the rounds were close, many of the rounds were nip and tuck, favored Navarrete. Well, the state of California has stepped in. The fight was in the state of California. It was in San Diego. And according to BoxingScene.com this morning, they are poised to change the decision in the fight. But of course, again, this is the world of betting. This is the world of boxing. They're not going to change the decision to Suarez winning. No, they're going to change the decision, or at least they're thinking about changing the decision. That's how bad it was. They're thinking about changing the decision to a no contest. So even the Suarez side of the play, which I'm on, isn't going to receive the victory that we deserved. Now, my advice to Charly Suarez, right, is the same advice that I, have offered here online to Dimitri Bivol, and it worked out for Bivol in a way that, he took the risk and it delivered for him. I wouldn't have taken the risk. It's the same advice I would have to Conor Benn, who did better than expected against Chris Eubank. Right, folks? If I'm Suarez, the public didn't know me before the fight. It was a shot for the world title, but you and I know, again, this is boxing. This isn't the only belt in the division, right? You have other big names looking for fights who have belts, right? My point is simply, you have proven that you are competitive in the ring against a champion like Emanuel Navarrette. You've proven it. We know that. Now, there are two people after a fight. There's the person awarded the fight, and then there's the person who exceeded expectations to the point where they're also a winner. Not necessarily that they deserve to win the fight. Right? Conor Benn did not beat Chris Eubank. But Conor Benn is the one in that fight who exceeded expectations. In my opinion, when you exceed expectations, when the fight is deemed a classic, don't unring that bell. If I'm Charly Suarez, now suddenly everyone knows who I am. Right? Now suddenly you have a group out there saying this is an outrage. He beat the champ. I'm just telling you, there is nothing more powerful in the sport of boxing other than being heavyweight champion, right? We'll agree there's the heavyweight champ and then there's everyone else. But there is nothing more powerful in the sport of boxing, apart from the heavyweight champion, and apart from undisputed fighters. I'll say undisputed has its own room in the museum. But if you are the uncrowned champ, if you're the guy who beat the champ and then they rip you off and it's on film, in other words, people who weren't even watching the fight later are looking at the fight and they're saying, no, that's not right. That punch wasn't a low blow. That looked like it was on the belt. Right? They look at the fight and they say, no, that's not right. These guys, their heads didn't bang together. This guy landed a clean left hook right on the spot where the other guy was cut. That's what caused the cut. Right? Timothy Bradley on the broadcast, in real time it was unclear. But Timothy Bradley on the broadcast, after they showed the super slow-mo, he actually had to apologize to the fans, if you could believe this. And he said, looking at the super slow-mo, my words, not Bradley, looking at the replay, that was a punch, he said. Right? Folks, understand it's a light switch. If you believe it was a punch, Charly Suarez is an uncrowned champion. That's the math. Right? If Navarrete got cut on a punch and couldn't continue, the man who threw the punch, whatever else you think happened in the fight, won the fight. Right? So if I'm Suarez, I realize I don't need Emanuel Navarrete anymore. Even if I feel that, I now know how to beat Emanuel Navarrete. Right? Understand there's a group in the public that saw you beat him. You don't have to prove anything to them. Right? Buster Douglas only had to beat Mike Tyson on the night they fought. Right? Mike, even Tyson fans could have understood, look, just like Hasim Rahman, right? Maybe Tyson's better than Buster Douglas. Maybe Tyson wins every other day of the week. But you know what you call Buster Douglas after that Tyson fight? Right? You call him champ. right? That's what Charly Suarez has going here, and you have other big names out there, right? So if you're, Charly Suarez, he has choices to make. Let me also say, too, one of the truths in life is that you're grinding for money when you're starting out, right? You're waking up early in the morning, you're, working hard and stuff like that, and they give you X. Then you realize that at a certain point in life, if certain things go your way, you're working half as hard and you're getting 3X. Right? Charly Suarez needs to realize, hey, I grinded. I got this title opportunity. I'm an unbeaten fighter if they call this a no contest. Right? As long as they unring the, decision from the fight. Charly Suarez is back to being an unbeaten fighter, even if they don't unring the decision. Every time you see Charly Suarez in a fight, they're going to say he's 16-1 or whatever his record is, right? Going forward, he's 16-1, and that loss was a highly debatable loss. And then they'll take you through what happened. Right? Casuals just coming across Charly Suarez are going to say, wow, that doesn't sound right. Then they're going to say, wow, let me look at the replay. Then they're going to reach the conclusion, a chunk of them. This man is uncrowned. Right, folks, I went through years of Roy Jones's career, where after the 1988 Olympic debacle, right, which was completely unfair, the world saw Roy Jones win the gold medal fight. Right after that debacle, where they gave it to the other guy, right? For years, I would look at Roy Jones and I would think to myself, the first thing I thought when they showed Roy Jones was, this is the guy who deserved the gold medal in that 88 Olympics. Right? First thing you thought was this guy should be a gold medal winner. They robbed this guy. Now keep in mind, I didn't even know all the gold medal winners, right? A guy could have won the gold. And, I wouldn't know about it as much as I knew about Roy Jones getting ripped off for the gold. Because controversy stays with you. Right? So, let me just say, folks, if I'm Charly Suarez, I get together with my people. I get together with Top Rank. I get together with my management. And I think to myself, okay, where do I go now? Right? The truth with Navarrette is he does have a punch. He did hurt Suarez. Suarez is hurt at times in this fight. Right? You can be the better boxer than Navarrette. All Navarrette has to do is to be right once. If I'm Suarez, I look at all my options. There might be a possibility that Suarez fights a guy who doesn't have the title and makes more money than he made in this fight, because now the crowd's following Suarez, right? Or Suarez might fight another champ, right? Put Navarrete on ice, have him wait, because of course whatever Navarrete does from this point forward, they're going to have to explain what happened in this fight. Right? Just like during the Ajagba Martin Bakole fight, they had to explain, oh yeah, Bakole got knocked out by Joe Parker. Right? When you see these guys later, they usually give you a little bit of a biography on the guy on the telecast. Right? If I'm Suarez, I've already conquered Navarrete. Let's say they call it a no contest. Right? Well, just understand, there are going to be many of us in boxing thinking, how could this be a no contest? When the guy throws a punch, if it's enough of a controversy to cause the state of California to pivot away from giving the victory to Navarrete to declaring it a no contest, if that happens, then you're looking at the film and you see Suarez throw a punch that cuts Navarrette. You're going to wonder, gee, why didn't they give it to Suarez? So Top Rank on X had an angle. It's a great angle of exactly what happened. I've posted that on gamblersadvisory.com. I'm encouraging people to look at that angle. Look at what happened. Right? And then understand that you had gamblers getting better than 3-1 on Suarez. And in effect, the casino has voided that part of the play. Right? Think about it. Not the casino, the powers that be in boxing by, claiming, in my opinion, wrongly, that the cut wasn't caused by the punch where the cut took place, but was caused by the heads clashing together, which they didn't, after the punch landed. Give it a look, gamblersadvisory.com. Just look for the postings. They're done chronologically. The most recent posts should, give you a link to the film clip. Just understand, and I give the promoter a lot of respect and credit here. Right? Top Rank released that film clip. In other words, Navarrette, very popular fight. Very popular fighter. Right? Very popular fighter. But Top Rank is more interested in what actually happened than in trying to make him look like a winner here. Right? The video shows you that the ticket should have cashed. Don't get me wrong. The under hit, and that's great. Right? So it wasn't a total loss. The bet hedged out. It shouldn't have hedged out. You should have won on both halves of the play. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.